Let's talk about all of this more now with David de Roches. He is an associate professor at the National Defense University and joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Good to have you with us. So let me ask you, first of all, about the news of this attack on the UN peacekeepers by Israeli forces. What do you make of that, and what is it? Is it, in your opinion, a sign of further things to come?
Well, peacekeeping forces are generally situated on key military terrain so that they can observe stuff. Obviously, when you have a war in that area, key military terrain becomes key. So I think that having peacekeepers in the middle of an active combat zone, particularly ones that are with a mandate just to observe, as UNIFIL does, you're going to see conflict of some sort. The only question is who carries out the conflict. And if this goes on for longer, I can easily see a situation in which you'll see UNIFIL forces hit, and both sides will claim the other side did it. So it's a very, very difficult position. This does come in, though, in the wake of years of criticism of UNIFIL for not forcing Lebanese Hezbollah to move north, which, of course, they're not really equipped for. But I think that right now what you're seeing here is something that could be expected tactically, but is strategically becoming a drawback for Israel.
If we move on to the attack by Hezbollah drones on central Israel, this was something I got into with the correspondent in East Jerusalem before we came to you. What does this tell us about the continued ability at this point of Hezbollah to strike deep into Israel, and whether this offensive on southern Lebanon by Israel is working?
Well, there are two separate questions. So one question is, does Hezbollah have a strategic ability to conduct deep strikes into Israel? And the answer is yes, they do. And they probably will, absent, regardless of whatever military action Israel takes. The second question is the aims of the Israeli invasion into southern Lebanon. The stated aims of that are to destroy the Lebanese Hezbollah infrastructure to prevent short-term rockets and artillery from firing into northern Israel. So they're kind of two disjointed theaters of war with two different strategic aims. I think that this is disturbing, though, because it shows that there has been a failure in both Israeli missile and air defenses, as well as in Israeli civil defense, which is usually pretty good. And I think what this would indicate is that the drone probably wasn't picked up by any Israeli sensor prior to making impact.
And it does seem that we are as far apart as ever on any possibility of a ceasefire, either in Gaza or in Lebanon, and we haven't heard much from the United States on this, and the talk that was coming from officials in Washington a few weeks ago about the ongoing discussions, and that they were making some sort of progress.
That's right. I think that Israel has a security imperative. They cannot accept a ceasefire that, in their view, would leave northern Israel uninhabitable or at the mercy of Hezbollah. They also can't accept a ceasefire in Gaza absent the release of hostages, because I think their argument is that that would just incentivize further hostage taking. So I think that there's the military logic is reigning supreme, and I think that the United States' ability to force Israel to accept a solution that it views as less than achieving its security goals is extremely limited now, with an election upcoming and the lamest of lame duck presidents in the White House.
Good to get your perspective, as always, David de Roches. Thanks very much for being with us.
It's an honor.